Farah Pahlavi gave birth to 4 children from Mohammad Reza Shah. The youngest child's name was Leyla Pahlavi. She was the beloved little daughter of her parents. However, despite being the youngest child, she became the first person to change her world. At the age of only 31, she tragically died alone in a hotel room in London, surrounded by empty sleeping pill bottles. She was a tragic princess. Today, I will tell you the story of Leyla Pahlavi. Leyla Pahlavi was born on March 27, 1970, in a military hospital in Tehran. The hospital was named in her honor immediately after her birth. Before Leyla was born, her mother had already given birth to 2 sons and a daughter for the Shah. The Shah was not worried about not having a male heir, and the birth of a little girl brought additional joy to the family. Her young mother, Farah Pahlavi, wanted her daughter to have as normal a childhood as possible. However, reality often deviates from ideals. 3 years before Leyla was born, Farah Pahlavi was officially named the Empress of Iran by the Shah. The Shah had also stipulated that if the crown prince died or lost his ability to perform his duties before his 21st birthday, Farah would become the regent. This was an unprecedented event in an Islamic country. Since then, Farah began to actively participate in public affairs, especially in the fields of women's rights and cultural development. This kept Farah very busy, and her working hours usually lasted from 9 in the morning to 9 at night. As a result, she couldn't spend much time with her children. However, Farah and the Shah made every effort to be present for their children. Leyla and her siblings always saw their parents in the mornings, and the Shah often picked her up from school. The young Princess Leyla and her siblings led a peaceful life in the palace in the north of Tehran. She had her own room and servants. At that time, the Iranian people had great love and interest in Leyla and her older brother Ali Reza, just as people loved looking at childhood pictures of Prince William and Prince Harry. When it was time for Leyla to go to the garden, the palace would organize a special class with other children, including the Shah's friends and Iranian nobles, who would come to be her classmates. Some of these children later became lifelong friends with her. According to her friends' later memories, Leyla was a brave and energetic child, almost like a boy. She excelled in horse riding, cycling, and skiing. The Shah was jealous of his little daughter, and Leyla could enter his office and sit on his lap whenever she wanted, even during meetings with foreign dignitaries. As Leyla grew up, she remembered the same things during interviews. She said that even at the age of 3, when the Shah had a meeting with foreign statesmen, he would hold her hand and take her with him. Even if she was in a meeting, she would go to her father's office every day to find him. Leyla had an immense emotional attachment to her father, and she always maintained a very close father-daughter relationship. But happy moments didn't last long. From the mid-1970s, Iran experienced a deteriorating economic situation and political turmoil, which planted the seeds of revolution. The fire incident at the Cinema Rex Theatre in August 1978 became the catalyst for the revolutionary movement, and massive protests and demonstrations engulfed the country, bringing Iran to a standstill for the rest of that year. In late 1978, the Shah and Farah sent their 2 elder children, Reza and Farinaz, abroad, while the rest of the family took refuge in the Niavran Palace in northern Tehran. Leyla and Ali Reza often heard the chants of death to the Shah during the chaos in the streets, reaching their peak in January 1979. In response to violent protests, on January 16, 1979, Mohammad Reza Shah, who was already suffering from severe lymphoma, and Farah left Iran by plane for Egypt. Leyla, on the other hand, boarded another plane to go to the U.S. Air Base in Texas with her grandmother. At that time, her older brother Reza Pahlavi was undergoing pilot training there. The following months were a nightmare for the entire family. Assassins sent by Ayatollah Khomeini to eliminate them posed a constant threat, making their situation extremely dangerous. The family was separated for their safety, reunited, and separated again. During the exile, Shah and Farah stayed in various places, including the Bahamas, Marrakesh, and Mexico, and finally returned to Egypt. The Shah's health deteriorated during this time, and his body weakened. The children stayed in the U.S. and whenever they had the opportunity, they flew to reunite with their parents. Sometimes, for security reasons, Shah and Farah were forced to stay away from their children. At this time, Leyla and her brother Ali Reza were living in the United States under the care of their uncle Guli Reza Pahlavi, brother of Mohammad Reza Shah. Leyla was very close to her uncle and considered him her second father. The final fall of Pahlavi occurred on February 1, 1979, when Khomeini returned to Iran from his exile in France. A few days later, Mohammad Reza Shah fell into a coma and died on July 27, 1980. Leyla, her brother Ali Reza and mother Farah were broken with grief. After her father's death and the fall of the Pahlavi regime, Leyla and her family continued to live in exile. They moved to the United States, where Leyla studied and tried to find her place in the world. However, the family continued to suffer from the loss and pressure they felt. Unfortunately, Leyla's life was eclipsed by mental health issues that became increasingly serious over the years. She struggled with depression and other emotional difficulties. Leyla also suffered from feeling the loss of her father and the inability to return to Iran, her homeland. Despite all the difficulties, Leyla strived to find her place in life. She tried her hand at a music career, recording songs and performing in public. Leyla also actively participated in various charity events and tried to help others, especially those who suffered from mental disorders. However, despite her best efforts, Leyla was unable to overcome her internal struggles. On June 10, 2001, at the age of 31, Leyla was found dead in a hotel room in London. The cause of death was an overdose of sleeping pills. Leyla Pahlavi's death was a huge tragedy for her family and everyone who knew her. She was a beautiful, talented and beloved daughter who could not overcome her personal battles. Her death reminds us of the importance of mental health and the need for support and understanding for those suffering from mental illness. Leyla Pahlavi's life was short, but she left an unforgettable mark on the hearts of those who knew her. Her story serves as a reminder that even the privileged and famous can have their own personal struggles and suffering.